Maulana Fadlur Rahman Ansari rahimahullah. This Salafi version of the faith, and remember Salafis, you are my brothers, and I am not picking up boxing gloves against you. This is an academic, an intellectual discourse. We differ. Why can't we differ? Why can't we exchange views without hatred for each other? Why? You are my brothers, but that does not mean that you are immune from my offering a valid criticism of a methodology which is incapable of recognizing why the financial crash is taking place now, why the economic crash is taking place now, whereas our methodology is explaining why it is taking place now. And there's something else which is happening at this time. The pieces are coming together. We have a group called the Tabligh Jamaat, who have fanned out around the world. And they are beautiful brothers. Oh yes. When you see the way they live, you see how they are regular in their salat, they dress in a particular way, they're conforming with the sunnah, you say, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. I don't think we can fit Tabligh Jamaat in the blue jeans Jamaat, can we? You know the blue jeans Jamaat. But why is it that at this particular time, when we face a challenge different from any that we have ever faced before, that we should now have this Protestant version of Islam with that epistemology and with this gathering of large numbers of people, 500,000 ijtima in downtown Chicago. Dajjal is not bothered at all about that. Why? They show no concern whatsoever. They show, Tabligh Jamaat shows absolutely no concern whatsoever with Islamic eschatology that would explain the reality of the world today and which would anticipate the events which are unfolding today and tomorrow. I say that this is not happening by accident, and it is time for us to deliver a wake-up call, lovingly of course, not with boxing gloves, to all those who are members of the Tabligh Jamaat, the only Jamaat in the world incidentally which has closed the doors of the masjid to me wherever in the world I have gone. I cannot go into a masjid controlled by Tabligh Jamaat to teach them that which they do not know, and they don't have the teachers to teach it. Most of the Salafi masjids are the same except for, may Allah bless him, Sheikh Faiz in Sydney. Sheikh Faiz, who is the foremost Salafi Sheikh of Australia, graduate of the Islamic University of Medina. And when I was in Australia for my second visit in 2002, Sheikh Faiz came to my home where I was staying and brought a Lebanese breakfast one morning so we could sit down and have Lebanese breakfast, and then invited me to his center to give a lecture on Islam and the international monetary system. And before the lecture could take place, he asked me to come into his office. And he said to me, Sheikh Imran, I want to become your student. Those were the words he spoke to me. Well, he's such a learned man, I should be his student. Why is it? Why can't we give you a wake-up call and yet remain brothers with each other? Because your methodology is wrong. You're putting your head in the sand like an ostrich in Tabligh Jamaat and not paying attention to understanding events unfolding in the world is dangerous for the Ummah. It's like sleepwalking through history. I thought Ronald Reagan was the only one who did it. But that's what you're doing, Tabligh Jamaat. Do not be annoyed with me. Do not be offended, because you are my brothers. Now let's come to the methodology. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that every prophet warned about Dajjal. And the Prophet Nuh alayhi salam warned about Dajjal. But I'm going to tell you something that no one has ever said before me. Dajjal sees with the left eye. He's blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grip. Dajjal sees with the left eye. He's blind in the right eye. It looks like a bulging grip. But your Lord is not one eye. Between his eyes on his forehead is written the word kafir, kafir, kafir. And every mu'min will be able to read it, whether that mu'min is literate or illiterate. And so Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu will be able to read it. Kafir. But Tony Blair won't be able to read it. You know, he was just convicted for war crimes right here in KL. So we sent Tony Blair to the eye specialist. Check out his eyes. Why he cannot read, this kafir. Oh, when you're sending Tony Blair, send George Bush also with him. And then the report comes, nothing wrong with their eyes. Well, then how come they can't read, but the mu'min can read? We say, and this is our viewpoint, and you don't have to accept it, is that when Dajjal sees with the left eye, this is religious symbolism at work, that he is seeing with external sight. And when he is blind in the right eye, this is religious symbolism at work, and he's internally blind. And that's why the kafir cannot read. Because when the mu'min reads, he's not reading with these eyes alone. He's reading with internal sight. And did the Prophet not say, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, I wish I had another 1 hour to deal with the subject. He said, ittaqu firasat al-mu'min fa innahu yanzuru bi nurillah. Fear the firasa. The firasa is that hikmah, or that wisdom of the believer, which is intuitive in nature and founded on spirituality. Fear the intuitive, internal, spiritual insight or wisdom of the mu'min, because when he sees with the nur of Allah. And so this hadith is speaking about epistemology and about spirituality. The absolute imperative of pursuing the spiritual quest, so that you'll have internal nur with which to see, and so that you have a chance of walking in the path of Khidr alayhi salam. After all, it is Suratul Kahf of the Quran, which is the surah of Ilmu Akhir Zaman par excellence. And Khidr alayhi salam is different from the rest, because you'll only meet him where? You will meet him at Majma'ul Bahrain. Majma'ul Bahrain, the place where the two oceans meet. Which two oceans? Go to Imam al-Baydawi and his tafsir. The ocean of knowledge externally acquired, the ocean of knowledge internally received. When these two oceans of knowledge come together, as they did in my teacher of blessed memory, Maulana Dr. Fadl Rahman Ansari, rahimahullah, when these two oceans come together in an individual, in a scholar, and are harmoniously integrated, only then do you have the scholar who can take all the pieces together and solve the jigsaw puzzle and deliver to you the big picture. And so today we address them, Protestant Islam, and we ask you to take another look at epistemology and at spirituality, the methodology that we are offering. رَبَّنَا تَقَبَّلْ مِنَّا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ وَتُبْ عَلَيْنَا يَا مَوْلَانَا إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين آمين.